day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown.
Hi, I'm Megan Cusick, and welcome to another episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars. Embrace your femininity. That's not advice you'd expect to hear in a male-dominated industry like automotive repair. But that's advice that Kathleen Callahan, owner of Xpertech Auto Repair in Englewood, Florida, has taken to heart in recent years. Not just for herself, but for her business as well. Kathleen's journey as a shop owner has had quite a few bumps in the road, but with the help of mentors along the way, she's come out stronger than ever. Now, she wants to help other women in the field become the most successful version of themselves they can be.
My name is Kathleen Callahan, and I am the owner of Xpertech Auto Repair in Englewood, Florida.
I understand you have a background in art, graphic design, something like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So out of high school, I decided that I wanted to go to advertising school in Miami. And I tried that for about a year and realized I couldn't be creative on demand. So I had always been interested in high school with printing and silk screening and photography and graphic arts and things like that, but just didn't really see how I could make a living doing it and on demand. Again, like I'm not, create me a logo, and it's not how my brain works. I envy the people that do though, right? But so during COVID, I had the privilege to go to work and be part of an industry that was deemed essential. But how do you deal with the stress? I'm clearly an extrovert. I didn't people. So I decided to work out my frustrations and all of that. I picked up a paintbrush and some paint and thought, oh, this is fun. I mean, I don't know if I'm any good at it, but it makes me feel better. I donate pieces to a lot of charity organizations, and apparently they make money, so it's worth more than $5. So. But I love to explore different ways of creativity. You know, growing up, my brother was a florist, my next older brother, and so we would create all these things for my mom and Christmas decorations and stuff. So my family has a history of creativity, so painting seemed like the natural thing to do, and I can put it all in a box and kind of put it away.
Do you think that your artistic background, your creativity has helped you in your business at all?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I am an agent of chaos and change. My staff will tell you, especially when I go away, I know we all are like this, but we go away to a conference and we come back and we have 5,000 new ideas, right? I try to be creative in problem solving, and I do think that part of being able to create art and have an outlet for that, it helps you kind of work through your stuff, right? If I'm struggling with things, it comes out here, and then sometimes helps me figure out how to work through problems that I'm having at the shop, or solutions to upcoming space challenges. Like my shop is not that big, right? We ran out of space, we just recently added on, but before that we'd be very creative. So no, do I think that, you know, lightening and brightening up the place for more efficient workplace, all those little things matter. I love to see and capture the beauty, because it also still helps me stay focused on the positive and the beauty in the world, because we see so much negativity if you allow it in. So I choose to remain positive, and sometimes the art is how I do that, and how I keep the positivity at the shop as well. So
I love that answer. That was awesome. How did your family shape who you are today?
Oof. So I am the youngest of 4 children. My mother had a previous marriage. She had 3 sons. And then when she married my dad, I came along, and my brothers were 14, 11, and 9 when I was born. And my aunt has 5 boys in the same age range. So I always joke that I was raised for the automotive industry. to be the only girl in an entire group of guys all the time. And my mother was in television broadcasting, which was predominantly male. So I watched her navigate that my entire childhood. So I think living in that kind of environment where you tend to be a little tougher and they pick on you and you get a thick skin, but still learning to be an empathetic and caring person, that was my childhood. So when I accidentally fell into automotive aftermarket, it felt like home.
Very cool. So, all right, speaking of accidentally falling, tell us the story about that. How did that come about?
So that's always the fun part of my story is that in 2003, my former husband and I decided that he was at the top of the game in the Fort Lauderdale area and no new shops could be opened. So ownership seemed like the next logical step. So we decided to relocate with our 2-year-old to the west coast of Florida and found this little 4-bay mom and pop shop, and things worked out. That was not the first shop we looked at. The first one really defeated us because it was $1 million in 2003, which was so much money. And we didn't have a ton. And this fell into our laps. And then 2009, we divorced. And we decided that because he could be a tech anywhere, and our kids went to school across the street at the elementary school. So I would run the business. We found a number that we both hated. He thought it was too low and I thought it was too high, which I think made it perfect. And I bought him out of the business. And so became a sole owner of an auto repair shop that I had no clue how to run or anything about cars, so.
Okay, and so what was, obviously, I mean, that sounds like a really big challenge coming into that. How did you overcome that challenge of not knowing anything but suddenly being in charge of the company?
So I talked to the 2 technicians that worked for me at the time and knew that without their buy-in, I would not be successful, right? I can manage money and checkbooks all day long. That's what I'm good at, that's my gift, and obviously people and networking. But I can't fix cars. So I had to rely on them to, what they said is, if we make the money and you make sure we have a paycheck, we will always make sure you stay in business. And so that was good to start. And then Napa Auto Care came in and my local sales guy said, hey, sign this paper and become an auto care center and I promise you we're gonna help you. And I know I shared with you a little, they literally drove me to my first Auto Tech Service Advisor class that was a 2-day class. All day back and forth to make sure I was home to pick up my kids from school and daycare and that it was kind of seamless. And from there they were like, well, we have this class and we have this class and go to this training. So they really leaned into investing in me to become a knowledgeable shop owner. Yeah. So, and then, I got a coach, which I think is one piece of advice I would give any shop owner in the world. Find a coach or a mentor because it really was the game changer and I did not do it right away. I should have done it 5 years sooner, so.
Well, that's fantastic, and I always like when we can get advice like that. That's excellent. So what are, some of the lessons that you had to learn, taking over the shop like that?
The biggest lesson was learning to ask for help and accepting help, right? I had to admit that I didn't know what I didn't know. And coming through, growing up in the family that prepared me for the industry, in that it also, I kind of learned the behavior that asking for help was a sign of weakness. And it took several years to learn that asking for help is actually a sign of strength. If I don't allow somebody to share their knowledge with me, how am I going to learn? And that's also what I do now is I share my knowledge with somebody, hopefully that they learn it a lot faster than I did. But that was one of the biggest challenges. And of course, staffing is forever the biggest, not just skills, but we call it culture fit, right? That personality fit in any business where you spend more time with your coworkers than you spend with probably your family. You really have to gel and be able to get along and navigate relationships. You don't have to like or love each other, but you do have to be able to communicate and get along. Otherwise, one little broken piece in the shop kills productivity and, at the end of the day, profit. Right?
Yeah. So speaking of culture, what are some of those innate qualities that you are looking for?
So for me, the first thing I look for is personality, sense of humor, and how you treat other people. So it's less of a non-normal thing for a woman to be an owner now. Still very rare, but not like it was when I first took over. So when we would have a technician come in, we would put an ad on Craigslist, right? I mean, that was what we did then. And I would actually put my lead technician's name in the ad for them to contact him to set up the interview. They would come in, I worked the front desk, and so nobody knew I was the owner. They thought I was just some girl up front. And so how they treated me when they walked in the door was how they would treat clients and other female staff members. That's how I immediately judged character. So we don't play that game anymore, but I do watch how they interact. My entire front of house is female. So I watch how people interact with my customer service rep when they walk in the door. I watch how they speak to, and it really is about your ego. And you can tell a lot about some, especially technicians, about their ego based on, what do you work on? Oh, I work on everything. Nobody works on everything. Nobody's great at everything. Everybody has flaws. So I really just look for personality fit, and hands down, they have to have a sense of humor. Because, we ask people to work in Florida, right? 95 degrees and 90% humidity. I'm asking you to work in tough conditions where people are, it was 115 degrees in the bays this summer. It's been pretty bad. Not every day, thankfully, but still, it's, heat advisories and things. So people tend to be a little bit more on edge when they're uncomfortable, hot. And so do you have the kind of personality where you can still get along even when you're on the very edge of, just snapping because you're so hot and you're so tired? And so that's what I look for. I rely on my staff and my techs to look for the technical ability.
There you go. Very cool. All right, so I want to go back. You mentioned that your front office there is all female staffed, correct?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, obviously we're in a male-dominated profession here. Tell me about, was that a conscious decision to staff all women in front, or did that just kind of happen?
So it organically kind of happened. So I was in the front by myself, and my first coach, you need to hire somebody for customer service. And I can't afford somebody for customer service. And once I hired a part-time mom from the school, I very quickly realized that I needed a full-time person and somebody that was professional. And one of my clients said, if you ever need anybody, my niece is the most fabulous person. I think she would fit here. And she worked for a motorcycle company. She worked for one of our local dealers. And she came in, I glanced at her resume. And as soon as I met her, the personality it's like me, except she doesn't have like her heart on her string where she'll give everything away for a story. And so I knew she was the right fit. And then filling the other two positions as we grew, has been a challenge. I will tell you, I did have another male service advisor with her. And customer perception, they would only speak to him and they wouldn't speak to her, even though his knowledge was 10% of what hers was. So I don't love that I always look for women in the front, but because of the way that society perceives our industry, they want to talk to the man instead of the woman. So inorganically, I've created and curated the front office to be all women, just because it seems to flow better. But I mean, if I found a great RockStar guy that really wanted to work in my front, I would not hire him, but he would definitely have some big shoes to fill and would have to re-educate customers and clients to speak to Jamie because she is amazing and has so much knowledge. So yeah, I try to curate that and keep it female because that's now it's our image now, is that we're all female front of the house. But it was not on purpose, but it was a beautiful accident.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome to hear. And so, you know, again, kind of building on that same idea, tell me a little bit about embracing your femininity in this type of profession.
Man, that's been hard, I will tell you. So I grew up, like I said, with 3 older brothers. So I think I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade before I realized that I was a girl and not a boy, right? So I attribute a lot of my femininity to my oldest daughter. Like having a very girly girl as a child for me it taught me so much. And in the beginning, it baffled me. Now I embrace it. I'm like, okay, so how do I be more feminine? How do I do? But I will tell you the natural, innate feminine skills of being more empathetic, being a great listener, and really just taking time. You know, years ago, the techs used to call it the hen house up front. And it would irritate me because I'm building relationships with customers and making them clients and not consumers is the gift that I think the feminine part of us really embraces. Not that only women can do that, but that's definitely more of a feminine side skill. We all have that, you know, yin and yang energy. And to lean into the yin sometimes, I think, really does deliver a much better client experience. Whether it comes out of the mouth of a male or a woman, you know, a male or a female or whatever you identify as. I think that leaning into that yin energy is really what stands people apart and makes people want to come to Xpertech.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so what is your favorite part of the job then?
People. I got to, and I will say, I had the privilege of Monday. We were so busy. My customer service rep was taking a day off, and they were in the weeds when I walked in the door, and they were like, we have to take 6 customers home. 6 clients need a ride home. We have a shuttle. And my advisor was like, well, I'm gonna go take them. And I was like, wait. Why don't you give me the keys and let me shuttle people around, right? It's like, I clean toilets now, I shuttle people around, I get to chit chat. But one of them was a client I hadn't seen in 4 years. He's been there for probably 18, he's been coming there. And I got to spend 15 minutes in a car one-on-one with this gentleman. And I missed him so much. It reminded me that those are the things that really, that's what sets my soul on fire, is knowing that I've impacted and built these relationships and helped people be comfortable with maintaining their vehicles, doing services. And, you know, I live in an area where the predominant amount of people are on a fixed income, right? It's a mostly retired community. And so being aware of that and caring about it keeps them coming back. I mean, I have some clients that have been coming to the shop longer than I've owned it, and that's 20 years. So, and their kids and their grandkids. So building that personal level is really why I'm still in the business.
Fantastic. All right, and so now what are some obstacles you are currently having to overcome in your professional life?
Oof, finding all the time to do the things, right? I say yes to a lot of stuff. I was really more concerned with leaving the shop, and I recently went on a 2-week vacation where I did not look, think, touch, feel, communicate with the shop, except maybe 2 or 3 messages in 2 whole weeks. So me stepping, I am the biggest obstacle. I get in the way. So I have trained, empowered, and really given these people the ability to do what they do best. And so when I step back in, I chaos that up. So that's probably one biggest challenge. And the next one is really finding quality people that want to work and be a part of the industry. We all have that same issue and challenge. All the skilled trades are suffering from it now, but not just the culture fit of it, but the skill set fit and the attitude fit is really, really becoming a bigger challenge to gain the people and then keep them. I don't know what the difference is, but people remaining teachable, I think is critical no matter how young or old you are in the industry, especially as a tech. So that's been our biggest challenge with finding people is they're not teachable. And they think they know everything already. And I mean, just look at the technology between, a 2020 car and a 2024 and 25. I mean, it's gigantic, and that's only we're not even working on most of those cars in the aftermarket yet. So I think that's probably the two biggest challenges. Yeah. Me.
No,
Me and Steph.
Well, and I think that's a very interesting, thing you point out there, because I know it is difficult for any business owner to step away from the company, to let it go. It's a baby that you need to keep nurturing. But I guess, that kind of brings me into my next question here. What do you see your professional legacy looking like? What do you plan for the future of Xpertech?
So the future of Xpertech, I will tell you, my goal that I've set with my coach is that by the end of 2025, I am an absentee owner, that I no longer have a permanent office in the building, and that they use that space for something more constructive. And I really allow someone to take over that manager position, because really I do a lot of the books now, and of course the networking. I don't think I want to let go of that. Maybe. That's a point of anxiety. Wow, you hit a nail. So my real future for the business is that I allow the talented people that I have curated over the years to really do what they do best. The shop performs better when I'm not in the building. So my goal is to really work myself out on a day-to-day basis and grow my coaching side. So I have 8 clients right now around the country that I coach on a monthly basis to hopefully get them from, some of them are exactly where I was when I started. And I feel that pain like a broken arm, right? I know what that broken arm feels like. And really to help them see quicker than I did how they can lead the path to success. And really, like I said, starting to realize that you are probably the problem is the hardest thing. When I got fired from being in the day-to-day, I literally went in my office and cried. I called my coach, I'm like, they're so mean to me. And he said, congratulations, you finally got fired. But that was hard. It's a hard milestone to allow people to do what they do best and what you pay them to do. So I would love to be a keynote speaker. Look, I'm putting it out into the big universe, right? I would love to be a keynote speaker, and I'm teaching some classes this year for the first time, and I would love to develop that more and really develop people and the industry in whatever way I'm able to do that. Because I went as a woman in the industry. My marriage ended. I had lost both of my parents. I had young children. I did not know at all what I was doing. So if I can be successful, there's nobody out there that can't do it, right? And if I can teach people how to cut that learning curve down to, let's call it 5 years or 7 years instead of me being the overnight success in 15 years of hard work, that would be my gift back in my legacy, is to help others achieve that much faster than I did. Just like being a parent, right? Yeah. Like, I want my kids to be way cooler than me by the time they're already way cooler than me. But I want them to be successful way before I was. I don't want them to struggle. Like, my parents didn't want me to struggle like they did. I don't want my children to struggle, a little. But the price of wisdom is pain.
Kathleen Callahan is painting a picture of what female ownership and mentorship in the automotive repair world looks like. But she's not stopping there. Though she started with no knowledge on how to run this business, she's now dedicated to securing its future, journeying all the way to the steps of the Capitol to see that through. Join us on the next episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars to learn more about how Kathleen is taking the stand for auto repairers' rights. Kathleen, we're going to play a little game called B-Sides to get to know you better. I'm going to give you a series of choices and you tell us which ones you prefer. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, let's start with some general questions. Pittsburgh Steelers or Washington Redskins / Commanders, whatever you want to call them?
Oh my gosh, really? That's a tough question. I would say I grew up a Redskins fan, but now that they're the Commanders, I have to pick the Steelers.
Okay, that's fair. Me time at home or hanging out with friends?
Oh, man, that's a 50-50 mix, but I'm going to say hanging out with friends.
Okay. Day drinking on the beach or nightcaps at a comedy club?
Oh, nightcaps at a comedy club.
All right. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Studio art or graphic design?
Studio art.
Drawing or painting?
Painting.
Acrylics or oils?
Oh, acrylic.
All right. What do you like to paint?
I like to paint. My favorite thing to paint is female body form.
Very cool. Who's your favorite artist?
Salvador Dali.
Nice. All right, now this is Vehicle Care Rockstars, so let's move on to your musical tastes.
Okay.
Pop or rock?
Rock.
Okay. Cardi B or Pink?
Oh my gosh, Pink, but Cardi B is a good choice.
All right. Pink Floyd or Genesis?
Genesis.
All right. Billy Joel or Elton John?
Oh man, Elton John.
Okay. ZZ Top or the B-52s?
Oh, B-52s.
Okay.
That was painful.
First concert you attended?
Genesis Invisible Touch Tour.
Last concert you attended?
Oh, man. Is it sad that I can't remember? I don't know. I know what the next concert I'm going to, though, is.
Okay, give us that.
I'm going to Pink in Orlando in November.
Nice. Very
Courtesy
cool.
of my dog. Thank you. I should give the plug.
Nice. Best concert you attended?
Oh, so far, I would say the loudest was ZZ Top, but the most entertaining was, surprisingly, was Kid Rock.
Okay.
He plays everything.
Nice. All right, final question for you. Bust a move for us. Bye 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 or Thriller?
Oh, Thriller. Man,
Can you do
that was
it?
tough too, though. No. Definitely not. Definitely not.
All right, well, regardless, you're a rock star, Kathleen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.